Alrighty, guys. Bobby Roast Beef here, live on location at a state park in North Carolina, and I am joined with two fabulous individuals. This feels kind of like a little Hollywood party in a way. You know, if the fishing community were Hollywood, like I feel like there should be a red carpet coming to this campsite right here.
Hello.
So you got the one and only Paul, a.k.a. the Jabberhammer from Bass and Brews. We've got Ramone Outdoors with us.
Yo, yo.
Which, and this was something, I brought this up when I arrived yesterday, and I was like, you know what, we should see, Ramone's nearby, isn't he? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, we should see if he's going to come and hang out, and here you are, man.
Here I am. I gave it a 1% chance, and you proved me wrong, and I'm so happy to have been proved wrong.
That's what I'm here to do, is prove you wrong, Paul.
I love that.
Well, good luck, because I'm wrong in everything I do. So Prove me right.
I will say I thought we were fishing, and I said this before, just to give an idea of how busy I've been. Is I got the text yesterday, come meet us at Jordan Lake, and I texted back one time and started clearing off my kayak, and my wife goes, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Paul and Bobby are at Jordan. I'm gonna go over there tomorrow." And they're like, "Okay, what time?" And I'm like, "I don't know, sometime in the afternoon." She goes, it's gonna be torrential. And I'm like, oh. And next thing you know, I get the text, whenever we get blown off the water, it'll be in the afternoon.
And that definitely happened today.
And I was like, I guess I'm not fishing.
Yeah.
So I originally thought we were fishing, but still good to come hang out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chill.
It really. I've said this actually to Drew Gregory before. I was like, the reason why I like the Kayak Adventure Series premise so much is because of the camaraderie. Like, I think that's the best part about the fishing community. Like, going out, regardless, win, lose, or draw in the water, like whatever happens, you can have a great experience.
No.
Paul doesn't have fun.
No. I knew that was coming.
No.
Hey, you said it yesterday. You're like, as long as we catch fish, it'll be fine. And I was like, well, let's not add any pressure to it.
I mean, that's the whole thing. We're out there to catch fish. If we just wanted to go fuck around on some kayaks, we could have done that without loading up all that crap that we did. Yeah. And not done it in the rain.
See, the way I look at it is like this. I look at it like I load up all my gear and I go and I pay attention to topo maps and I look at weather patterns and I do some research on the species that are in an area and like what I could potentially catch. And I'm packing all that stuff up, but I always in the back of my mind go like, all I am really here for is potentially catching some fish. If it works out and things play in my favor, it's all right. Like that way, I go into it that way specifically so it doesn't taint. It doesn't taint the experience, of going out and enjoying the outdoors. That's what, at least in my mind, the way that I think about it. These clouds that are coming in look freaking dangerous.
They're not dangerous. There's not going to be a tornado, Bobby. Yeah. I told you, don't worry.
You'll be all right.
Yeah. Don't worry. Bobby told me, I texted him Thursday morning and said, hey, man, the weather is going to be potentially bad. And I showed him the forecast. And he goes, man, that's cool. I'm okay with rain and this and that, but we don't have tornadoes up here. I said, look, but if you're with me, we're good. And if we're at the campsite, we get a tornado. If we're in the boats and we get a tornado, all we have to do is jump in the water, and we should be fine. But it didn't happen. I want to go back to about how you prepare yourself when you go fishing.
Yep.
Every time I go fishing, I go fishing that if I don't catch fish, my family will starve to death. Even though I don't keep and eat them, I go fishing with the mindset, if I don't catch fish, my family's going to starve to death.
Yeah.
And so I put that pressure on myself to catch fish.
Gotcha.
And I'm not even that good at it.
Yeah. That's I would not put that pressure on myself if I were you.
Ramone, you ever seen a hog eat corn?
Yes.
It wasn't a good experience, was it?
Bobby and Ramone both today got their first ever hog eating corn.
It's not my first one. I saw it coming.
But you still let my hand get there.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ruin your fun.
Bobby had no idea.
Oh,
He was completely taken aback, surprised.
Listen, I grew up with family who all we did, the way we show affection is by causing each other pain. That's how we do it.
Are you ticklish?
No.
You never...
See? Saw
See,
it
rule
coming.
number one is you never say yes. Somebody asks you a question like that, you're not like, oh yeah, of course I'm ticklish. Unless you're some kind of.
Are you ticklish? I'm going to tickle the shit out of you later when you don't even know it. You're going to be over standing by the pea tree taking a tinkle, and I'm going to walk up behind you and goot you.
Yeah, I believe this, and I'm nervous. It'll be what it is, you know. We'll leave this experience having some shared moments.
You do got pretty lips.
I do. So let's review our weeks. Let's go ahead and review like this is segment 1 of Jigs and Bigs. Like, what have we done this week?
Ramone, what have you done this week?
I went fishing.
Oh, see, that's fishy stuff.
Monday.
That's good.
I went fishing on Monday.
Yeah.
And I think I caught 4 bluegill.
Nice.
Yeah.
Any good size?
Relative.
Yeah.
Relative.
That's
I think
not
the
bad.
biggest was like 8 inches.
Now, that could be entered in the Jigs and Bigs tournament. That'd be worth a point, you know?
Exactly.
8-inch bluegill's pretty good, you know?
Yeah, they get a little bigger around here. I think the big. I haven't gotten
you need
a 10-inch yet, but I've gotten
alcohols?
close.
What do you need?
A regular white
regular?
claw.
Oh, you're switching?
I ain't breaking the law yet.
No, I hear that. I'm switching back to. Let's finish up with Ramone's week, and then we'll talk about. We'll set the scene here. What's happening at the camp?
No, that was it. And then just the usual home stuff, work stuff.
Yep.
And then the random text from Paul Friday. Yeah, today's Saturday. Friday saying, "Hey, come meet us out." And here I am.
That's freaking awesome, man. That's
Here
awesome.
I am.
Now, so let's kind of set the stage here. We are sitting under a beautiful 12 by 12 canopy out here. A little bit of light rain. You guys might actually be able to hear that. You know, there you go. Yes, yes. That's some National Geographic shit right there. And we have a wonderful campfire going. We've got multiple bags of boiled peanuts open. We've got camp bread dough just fermenting here, ready for later. There's many alcoholic beverages strewn around. And let's have a little conversation about this, Paul. So one of the last batch of alcohols that you had purchased, these are Bud Light Platinum seltzers. And
they're not delicious.
they're not. Paul had suggested that I sample one.
Look, I had to buy these because I didn't want to have to drink a 12-pack of regular White Claws.
To catch up.
Yeah. So I can drink, 2 or 3 of these because they got 8 alcohols in them like White Claw Surge.
Yep.
But the gas station ain't have no White Claw Surge.
No.
They were completely out. And I wanted to get 2 16-ounces. That's all I needed. But instead I had to buy this big old case. So I'm trying to get y'all to drink it so I ain't got to take it home.
It's terrible. I'm drinking this, and I had to surmise it by... I'm drinking a pineapple variety. I figured this was probably the safest bet, but it really does...
Hey, Bobby, do you know what pineapple does to you?
I do. Why do you think? It's because I care, you know?
You drank it too early. You should have waited till you got home.
It's all good. It's all good. But this really just did taste like a Detroit hooker ate like a bag of pineapple Jolly Ranchers. And what did you say? They farted in my face?
Farted in your face.
Yeah, that's probably about the most on the money description that you could get from this, what we're dealing with here with the booze. But we've had some pretty awesome food.
Look, all right, I'm going to take over now because Bobby Roast Beef is not going to be able to describe his own food.
Yeah, that would be wrong.
With the conjecture and the love that I can. But he cooked this pasta dish. It's sweet Italian sausage, garlic, lemon zest, a squeezed lemon, kale, and pasta.
A little white wine.
And a little white wine. And he cooked that last night. He cooked the whole damn box of pasta, a whole pound. It was massive. And it was absolutely phenomenally delicious. It's not a camp food that I would ever cook. It's just too much. So I'm so glad he cooked it for me. And Ramone, we've got leftovers. You got to try some before you leave. I didn't do shit but watch Bobby cook, and I chopped the kale. And I will tell you what, I have eaten a lot.
You chopped the hell out of that kale, man. That was perfect.
What? I only dropped one leaflet too.
Yeah.
And I had to peel it off the stems. I mean, it wasn't easy work for somebody who was not supposed to be doing nothing last night.
I know.
It was well worth it because it was absolutely phenomenally delicious. And the greatest thing about it, when you camp, you worry about eating heavy food.
Oh, yeah.
That messes your tummy up, especially when you're going fishing the next morning. You know, is it going to be a rough night? Is it going to be a rough morning? If you wake up in the morning, we got to we want to be on the water at a certain time, this and that.
Yeah.
It was a perfect, light, hearty meal, no tummy issues. It was so good, man. It was one of the best camp meals I've ever had.
I love that, man. Thank you, dude. I appreciate that. And it was really nice to make it this time with cheese. Because that was a big one. The first time I ever made that dish, I was camping with Becca. And, she's got dairy issues. And we did, you can't... I don't think there's a good substitute for Parmesan cheese. I just don't. Like what is it? The yeast flakes or something.
Nutritional yeast.
Nutritional yeast. That's one that's some. And I guess it's I get it. But man, there's just something about the pasta water and the Parmesan cheese kind of coming together, but it's just magic. It's just magic. It was awesome. I thought it came out great. I'm glad you enjoyed it, man.
I did, and I wasn't surprised. And I don't tell people how to cook their food unless they ask me. You cook the noodles perfectly al dente.
As an Italian American, I would frickin' hope so. I would hope so.
We didn't have no blown up soggy ass noodles.
Those are the worst.
Those are the worst. That's one of my things about. And I used to overcook noodles until I learned how to cook them.
Yeah.
And once I learned how to cook them, now I silently judge every noodle.
Oh, isn't it amazing? You get like pasta. You almost become a pasta gatekeeper in a way,
Look, if I wanted mashed potatoes when I ate pasta, I'd cook mashed potatoes. I don't want to eat pasta and it tastes like I'm eating mashed potatoes.
No, that's fair. That's 100% fair.
I'm so used to my microphone and it not catching me breathe like the fat ass I am.
Oh yeah,
and so I know everybody listening. I do apologize for my heavy breathing, but I try to pull the microphone in and out. And it's not really working well, so I do apologize for the heavy breathing.
I'm a fat shit, and I will not apologize for the fact that I have to breathe as a human being. And somehow we've still managed to get people to listen, even though I have to get oxygen into my lungs. And I wheeze.
I'm gonna be Alex on this. What about your week? What'd you do this week?
My week.
I'm gonna bring this podcast back to where we started 5 minutes ago.
I like that. I appreciate that. So my week was actually pretty good. There was a lot of prep this week. Did I get out and fish on Monday? I think that I did. A lot of regular work stuff. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. See, these are the moments that we need to have video for. So, I think the most exciting thing for me was this week, leading up to the trip, was leaving and getting here. So my intention was to stay up late Wednesday night, go to bed basically go to sleep after I drop my youngest off at school. Go from there, sleep, wake up, go to work, just like I did, and then leave immediately to get down here. Because my goal was really, I knew Friday the weather was looking probably the best for fishing. Friday would have been ideal. So the more time I could have on Friday, the better. So I did end up leaving, but the sleep situation did not work out at all. I passed out so early and got up on Thursday, did my regular stuff, went into work that night, and I'll be honest with you, I was not feeling hosting trivia on that night. I was looking forward to just getting on the road and getting here as fast as possible. The drive down was pretty amazing. Didn't run into any situations at all. Didn't run into any kind of issues or situations traveling. I did hit some traffic in DC. That sucked.
Traffic in DC is always the worst.
Yeah, it was, and it was either I was going to get it in New York or in DC. DC was really bad. The drive through Virginia wasn't horrible. I was able to make it work. And then I got here, and I had an amazing little interaction. So I had to stop on the way in to get provisions, get, grocery items and stuff like that. And I stop into a local Food Lion, and I wanted to get ingredients for breakfast tacos. I want to get ingredients for that pasta. And I was even considering, like, oh, maybe I'll get some beer or something too. And I wasn't sure. And I was like, this is a moron moment. I was in the beer aisle. I needed the wine for the pasta. And I'm like, should I get some beer? I was like, does Paul drink? And I'm like, we got here, and I got here, and we were talking here, like, I'm a co-host on Bass and Brews. Like, I'm like, yeah, I didn't think so well. I didn't really pay too much attention there. I did have a dispensary stop also on, was it Wednesday or was it Thursday? No, it was Wednesday. Because I needed to stock up anyway, but I wanted to bring some stuff, down here and enjoy and all that. And I'll be enjoying later. So it was awesome. I got here, and we went out and we fished. First thing, pulled up, took a look at the spot. Everything was good. We took our boats over. We launched nearby, right, not too far from where we're camping right now. And I'll tell you what, I pissed off a local. Let's talk about that. No?
We got to save that for the FTG.
I have an FTG.
You got another one?
Yeah, I already I have an FTG. Yeah, I have an FTG.
Let me tell the story.
Yeah, go ahead and tell the story.
Do you want to tell it now, or do you want me to tell my week and then we can get into...
We'll do that.
Okay.
So I'll leave it for now.
Finish your week review, and then I'll do mine, and then we'll because I have a good story about it. I'm going to tell it from my perspective, and then what Bobby told me after it happened.
Oh, yeah, this will be good. So I had... we got on the water, and there were some baits that I was just, looking. I was really surprised how dirty the water was when we got here. I thought visibility was going to be a whole lot more. So I was throwing some noisy shit, chatterbaits and, some stuff, some big blade spinner baits and stuff like that, rattle trap, like loud shit. And I couldn't get a bite at all. And you and I, we ended up fishing this flat that had some brush that was up on the bank that was submerged a little bit. And I took my BFS combo of all things, and I started ripping around one of those Jackal Darrow Break bladed jigs. In a color that, because it was the right weight, it was a 1 ounce. No, not a 1 ounce. It was an 1/8 ounce.
I was about to say, I ain't never heard of 1 ounce BFS.
1 ounce BFS, yeah. Big fucking scam. No. So I'm throwing around this 1/8 ounce Darrow Break, and it was in a weird sort of color pattern. It was kind of perchy. And I got a tap. And then there was one of these retrieves back in. I actually had a catfish, just stick its head up out of the water, chasing it as I was taking the bait out of the water. It was unbelievable. I'm like, oh, that would have been nice to hook anything. So we go out today, and actually let's back up a little bit. We get off the water, and it looked like we were going to get some weather, and it never really surfaced to that extent. We got some drizzles, and that was it. Came back in, made some food, hung out around the fire. Paul and I had an amazing conversation about creating content and all of that stuff that kind of ties together. We shared stories about guests and stuff. Don't worry, folks. It was all good.
And it's really weird that he's actually here today, too. Like, one of the guests that made our hearts hurt, but also made us feel very welcome was Ramone.
Yeah, 100%.
Hurt? Can you elaborate?
Take the compliment. Just take the compliment.
Hurt is not a compliment, man.
I'm just kidding.
In the back of my mind, I'm like...
Ramone is an awesome guest. Matter of fact, if it wasn't for Ramone, there wouldn't be the side Bass and Brews chat that him and Alex have more than Alex and I talk.
That's crazy.
And Alex wouldn't be so good at our social media if it wasn't for Ramone.
And I'm just going to throw Alex under the bus here. That chat is very one-sided. It's very much me just sending him random things, and he'll be like, cool.
Neat.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, Alex does text like my 13-year-old daughter. You send him something asking a question or saying something, and you expect some kind of response back. Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Does Alex ever just leave you on red?
Yes.
Oh. That's rough.
I kind of expected at this point. It's kind of like I see it as I'm saying something to him.
Yep.
He heard it, and that's it.
That's it. No response.
Because there's no way you get a text message and you don't at least glance at it.
Yeah, exactly.
I will call him sometimes because I drive a lot during the week, and he'll send me the voicemail. And I don't know if he listens to my voicemails or if he deletes them or saves them. But they're all the same voicemail because he sends me directly to voicemail. I'm like, you motherfucker, you do not send me to voicemail. I am your podcast wife. You answer my phone call when I call.
That's a serious offense right there. Sending the voicemail?
I have 2-factor authentication on all the logins, and I have been, since he's been back, at least for the last 6 months, I've been telling him, I'm going to change the password so he doesn't have control anymore.
I'm sure that's going to go over very well. There's something else we talked about last night that was really good. We shared some experiences like with guests, like if there were guests that stood out to us or anything like that. And it was actually a really, really good conversation. We talked a little bit about analytics, which was kind of cool. Which is awesome because I never get to talk with folks that understand like the podcast specific analytics and like what we're dealing with. It's kind of cool because Bass and Brews and Jigs and Bigs kind of like there's parts of the country where we kind of both share, but like you guys are all over the place and we're very heavily East Coast central, like very heavily. Like we have a good listenership in some in Texas and some in California that pop up pretty high on there, but like for the most part everything else is really like East Coast. And I have to wonder if it's just because we're like degenerates.
But y'all have that connection with the fishing industry and people up there where you and Joe and Sean live there. Yeah. And y'all fish there. And y'all are able to run your podcast and do live shows with guests in the area. Yep. Alex and I have never met.
That amazes
me. We have yet to meet in person. We've only met through StreamYard. And you're here. First time I met you. Matter of fact, first time I met Raymond.
That's right.
And
it's okay. But everybody loves Ramone.
That
100%.
Everybody does love Ramone.
And you know what? I think you meant to call me Raymond as like a way to bother me. It doesn't bother me. But you know why?
I know it wouldn't.
You know why? Because you're not the only person that calls me that. Believe it or not, my mother calls me that.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Is that your in trouble name?
No. It's because I am actually named after my father. And when she yells at one, she's got to be, we got to know who she's yelling at.
Gotcha.
That's awesome.
So mainly, normally, if someone is calling me Raymond, they know me through my family.
Yeah.
So
we are family.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you're the behind the scenes co-host of Bass and Brews.
Sure, yeah, I'm the unpaid intern of Bass and Brews.
Well, Alex and I are the unpaid host of Bass and Brews too.
Oh God, that's awesome. Man.
Unpaid intern. What else did I do? IT a little bit when Alex was out.
Yeah, I think we finally understand the basics to do it. Mm-hmm. But Bobby, back to what you were talking about on your stuff with your the eastern part of the country and the northeastern part. Y'all are all there. Y'all all fish with the people there. It's a smaller in geographical size area.
Yep.
And y'all are able to do all that stuff, and that's what makes your podcast a lot different than a lot of other podcasts too, is that you have a huge group of listeners that y'all can bring together once or twice a year and do that. That is super cool.
Yeah. I that's one of the things that I think I enjoy the most is all of that, like camaraderie and like there is one of the questions I asked you, I was like, how many times have you been out and you're like fishing? Has somebody said like, are you Paul from Bass and Brews? And you were like, never.
Once.
Unless they've already known me. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's right.
Cam from Faith and Fishing at Outhouse Tackle, just up from Falls Lake, did that. And we had masks on at times during COVID. And he came up and said, Paul? And I was like, hey, yeah. I didn't recognize him. Yeah. And then once he told me he was, I listened to his podcast, but had never met him. And he listened to ours. So him and I met that way in person for the first time. I got a tinkle.
See, that to me is amazing. And also at the same time, it's my favorite part of, see, this is what you guys are getting right now. For those that are listening to Jigs and Bigs and you don't listen to Bass and Brews, you're getting Bass and Brews right now. That's what you're getting with Paul. Like the going and pissing on his tire. Like that's what he's doing. That's what this is about. The Jigs and Bigs element is the fact that I muted his mic. He could So that's how it works. But like I've been out fishing, and I remember Dave Shade, who is just a hammer in the multi-species scavenger hunt tournament. I was in my kayak, and there were these guys fishing on the bank, and he goes, "Hey, are you Bobby?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Roast beef?" And I'm like, "Yeah, guilty." And come to find, like, I had him on the show. I had never, like, met him in person or anything. It's kind of crazy. One of the things that I had asked you, Paul, when I got here, and actually when I arrived, you came up like with the phone going, getting some video, and it was awesome. It's kind of been shared on Instagram on a couple of different pages, which is cool. I asked if I was the same height as Alex, and you don't know. We got to know.
I don't.
I think I'm the same height as Alex.
If you are, he's going to motorboat me when I see him and hug him.
Mm-hmm. Because I ain't tall. But then again, I look even shorter because people often see Sean and myself together, and Sean makes you look short.
Yeah. Sean's like 6'3".
I think Sean is closer to like 6'6".
Is he?
He's a giant human being.
You know what? I'd hug a fart out of Sean,
Oh,
too.
you would absolutely hug a fart out of Sean.
I'd make his glasses pop off. I'd turn him so red.
For sure. So, that brings us to, last night I had indulged a little bit in some edibles, and they kicked, and the conversation got even crazier. We let the fire go out and then hit the hay. I also got the experience of actually trying a pretty significant outdoors hammock.
It's a real camping hammock.
It's a real camping hammock.
Real quick, to explain it, is that you have the hammocks like Eno or the parachute hammocks, things like that. Those are lounging hammocks.
Yes, exactly.
Those are hammocks that you get in. They're usually about 9 foot tall. For most people, they're too short. Mm-hmm. This is one that you can sleep in, and obviously I do. That's what I camp in.
Yeah.
And people go out in negative 20, negative 30 degree weather in these types of hammocks and camp in the wintertime. So you got to get in it, and it was comfy, wasn't it? It
was really comfy. Like, I'm considering having one on hand just as another option, when I'm looking to sleep. Because don't get me wrong, the back of the 4Runner is comfortable as hell, and I sleep like a baby back there. But it's nice to have options in certain situations.
You get a really nice evening where you're not going to have a lot of dew, so that like early summertime where you're not getting a lot of dew or anything like that, you throw that hammock up and you don't have to have a tarp over anything. You're sleeping under the stars. You get that breeze blowing across you, and it's just a whole different sleeping experience.
Yep. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. So we called it a night. I go and I'm out, and we left it where we knew there was some weather coming in for today. We just weren't exactly sure the severity because there were some warnings. And full disclosure, Paul actually had a tournament scheduled today at another lake, and the trail decided to postpone and reschedule. So, I mean, this was like significant weather. They're talking about severe thunderstorms, potential tornado warnings, and we're kind of concerned. And so we opted. So
I wasn't concerned.
I was a little bit concerned, but I think if there was anything we were both concerned on, it was how were we going to fish? Like, what was going to work out best? And what we ended up doing was just basically like getting up kind of early, because keep in mind, I had been on the road all night. Like, I was looking at, I probably could have gone to bed at like 7:30 and been fine. I think we were in bed for 10:30, something like that, maybe 11 o'clock.
I went to bed a little bit later than you. I stayed up watching the fire because that's what I do. But yeah, you were around 10:30, I think, and then I had my little phone, so I turned on a show and laid in my hammock and watched it for 30 minutes, an hour before I passed out.
I had gotten up at like 5. I thought it was actually much earlier than that. Got up at 5 to use the facilities, and then got back into bed and lounged for about an hour or so. And then I texted Paul to see if he was up, and he's like, "Yep, I'm up." I was like, "All right, we want to send this or what?" Because the rain at that point was really light. Like, it was really light, and it was stop and go.
Yeah, it wasn't even raining when we decided to, hey, let's roll with it.
Yep.
There was some stuff coming, but it didn't look bad. And then the weather wasn't severe. It was windy when we first got out
Yeah.
there, but the raindrops were big raindrops. It was a Forrest Gump episode of, that was rain coming from above, from below, little raindrops, big raindrops.
It was to the point where there was a spot where there was a bridge nearby, and I just ducked under there for cover just to get out of it. And I went out and I was wearing like an AFCO Reaper hoodie and all synthetic, everything. Like every item of clothing I was wearing was synthetic, specifically just to try to keep whatever rain off of me. And I have a Reaper jacket, which is like, I don't want to say it's like a rain jacket per se, but it does a pretty good job in light rain. So I left that in the truck, and I was like, I don't think I'm going to need this. I don't think it's too bad. I was wrong. I went back to the ramp, ran up to the truck. I also forgot that giant, see that, Ramone, that giant money bag down there that's full of bait?
Yeah.
Yeah, I left that here like a complete dipshit. A bunch of the stuff that I picked up to fish specifically this week is in there. So I had a lot of that stuff tied on, and I just couldn't get a bite. But a lot of it wasn't necessarily for trying. Now, there's a little something that I want to throw out there that Paul is going to give a little bit more details about, the locals that I pissed off earlier. But there was a tournament that was going on in this body of water here. And from the sounds of all the anglers that I did talk to, it sounds like it was a tough day for everybody, which is crazy because rain and wind and like low light is a fisherman's dream. Like I think chatterbait all day. I think, rattle trap all day long, with those kind of conditions, because I'm thinking that that's going to have them fired up.
You good?
Oh, you're good.
You keep talking.
All right, okay.
Just keep talking.
All right. So I'm
a grown-ass man. I can handle it.
Paul managed to get on a couple of fish today. One in the boat, right?
Yeah, I lost a good fish. I don't know. I didn't see it, but it was good. And then I caught another one, probably about 3 pounds.
Yeah. I mean, it was, hey, it's a fish in a boat's a fish in a boat. At least it wasn't a complete skunk overall. Actually, it wasn't a skunk, and we'll get to that in a moment. So there's a point, there was like a 2-hour window where the rain was like really, really coming down. The majority of the precip was going to come down within this 2-hour kind of window, and this is where I was tucked up in this bridge, kind of fishing these rock, these riprap walls that kind of had come around on either side of this bridge. And I'm fishing and I'm fishing. I'm not getting anything, and it gets to the point where I'm like, I tell Paul, I was like, dude, I don't think I have any more in me, man. I think we got to call it. I'm like, I'm not into the whole, like, this is a dick measuring contest or anything. I'm like, nope. I'm like, this is fucking miserable. Let's just call it a day. So Paul makes a suggestion. He's like, you know what? Let's go. We'll go and make some lunch, warm up, dry out some of this clothing, and then we'll see what we can do. We'll come back in the afternoon. And the rain didn't really let up, and unfortunately, we ended up just hanging out at camp, which is I'm actually totally fine with. I personally love hanging out at camp all day long. But what's interesting about our campsite is that there is a tiny retention pond type. I don't even know if this is natural.
No, it's not natural. It is an old pond. So the state park, obviously when they flooded the couple rivers for Jordan Lake, they took over all the property. And this is just an old pond, and I can tell that because there's a made dam.
Yeah.
And so I can tell it's just an old pond. And they just left it, which is cool.
And I managed to catch the only fish I caught this trip out of there. It was a tiny crappie. It was probably a 5-inch crappie.
And what makes that even more amazing is that one of the state park employees saw him fishing and came and pulled up and says, "Hey, I saw you fishing there. Pretty sure there's not any fish in there." Bobby Roast Beef was like,
let me show you the picture.
Something.
Yeah, I was like, let me educate you a little bit. So I feel good about that. It wasn't a skunk. I will take it. But like I said, for me, these trips are about this shit. You create the content. You spend quality time with quality people. You forge new relationships, and you make memories. And I think that that's the priceless part. So I'm all about it. And then, I've got, some travel tomorrow to do. We're going to try and get on the water tomorrow morning, kind of early.
Yeah, it's supposed to be windy, so we're going to have to get out. And about 11 o'clock, the wind is supposed to set in, and we'll probably be rolling out.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's going to be sporty.
I have a strong feeling that we'll be okay. As long as it's not raining, I feel pretty good about it. Give me the wind. Give me the wind. I also got the opportunity to try some of Paul's homemade dehydrated meals, which are freaking awesome. Like, unbelievably awesome. Really, really fantastic. The one of them specifically, and I remember you posted on was it Instagram or TikTok?
I think I posted on both.
The chicken pot no pie.
Yep.
Wow, dude, out of this world, man. Like, fantastic. I also have got to say your camp bread is out of this world. I'm making that. I know my wife would love it. Absolutely. Like, it's first thing in the morning, like you were saying, like a little bit of honey or something. Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
Well, it doesn't have to be first thing in the morning. It could be any day, any time of day. You put a little bit of honey on there. It's delicious. Honey would make a wet turd taste good.
Yeah, it would. It would certainly improve a wet turd. Depending on who that or what that wet turd came out of, you know, it could be grassy.
Get you a little bit extra fiber.
That's
undigested fiber.
That's good. A little bit of fiber is good. You wouldn't need to peel the kale and, like, you know, strip it from the what do you call it? The stems.
Yep.
You know. So yeah, I this was a win for me. I'm gonna take it.
Don't forget, what else did you get to eat that I have talked about a million times?
Was it? Let's see. So we had the boiled peanuts. We had the Bright Star sausage.
Bright leaf
sausage.
Bright leaf. Send this man a cooler.
Dude. That stuff is so.
It was a smoked sausage, to be exact, because it's the best smoked sausage I've ever had.
I wanted so badly to pick up their breakfast sausage to use in the breakfast tacos, so badly, and the Food Lion didn't have it; they were sold out. So I'm like, all right, no worries. But I did see the Bright Leaf smoked sausage in there, and I'm going to be going back, and I'm probably going to pick up the Red Hots too on your.
Well, we're having some Red Hots tonight.
Perfect. Try before you buy. I'm telling that was a home run. What was it? The pea soup that you made? That dehydrated pea soup?
Yeah, split pea soup.
Split pea soup was out of this world. And Bobby roast beef, not really like the biggest soup guy necessarily, but I do love a pea soup.
Look, when we got off the water, we were both soaked through and through. And when we got back, we got the campfire going. It was nice to have a really hot, soupy type. We ate both.
Yep.
We ate
ribs.
the chicken pot no pie, and we ate the split pea soup. It was nice to get something down in you hot.
Yep.
And sticky.
Yep. Get it in the cockles. You know what I mean? Yeah, that was pretty freaking awesome. So we're recording. This is good. We got a campfire going. We're gonna make some food and enjoy tonight. Get on the water tomorrow. I have a long journey back up north. It is what it is. It'll be fine. But Paul, go ahead and share the situation with the locals, because this is magic.
There's a ramp in the campground that we're staying in, and it's 2 minutes away.
Yep.
Bobby gets into town. We got camp set up just in case rain came, so if it did, we have everything set up. And we're like, let's go out here, fart around. There's a bridge with rip wrap, a couple of points. So we put in, and there's a pontoon boat that's doing a little bit of drifting and a little bit of trolling.
Mm-hmm.
Already don't like this story.
Yep. You know.
And we launch, and they're really not moving at this point. They're near the ramp. They're not moving much at all, and you know, there really wasn't room to go around them on the bank. So we go out in front of them, and we're probably, I don't know, 30 yards in front of them.
Yeah.
So we weren't right up on them. We were 30 yards in front of them. And the guy's like, there was another kayaker that put in just before us. There's 3 kayakers that come through and right in front of us, and we're trying to fish and da-da-da. And I look over, because at first he's saying this, so I look over thinking he's, being nice or something at first.
Yeah, because that's how his delivery was.
And then 30 seconds later, I'm like, oh, this guy's being an asshole.
Yeah.
And so he's talking about us coming in front of him 30 yards away, but where his line, he's got a bunch of rods set out
There's probably about 15 to 18 rods on that deck.
So the back rods are obviously behind the boat, directly behind it. The front rods are directly below the boat.
Yep.
And he's pissed off at us for coming in front of him in fucking kayaks going 2 miles an hour, where if he was going to catch a fish, he was already going to have run over him anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
And let me tell you something. As somebody that is on the water a lot, I will get the way out of people. I'm very courteous. Tournament anglers, if I'm not in a tournament and I say, hey, are you in a tournament? I'll leave. I'm respectful. I understand courtesy on the water. But this guy was just being he's just being a fucking bitch.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
And what's funny is
it's not like we were casting in his direction.
No, we weren't even casting.
No.
We were just going. We weren't even fishing. Bobby's talking to him.
Yeah.
Well, I stare at him and I just leave. And Bobby continues to talk to him. And oh, this da. Bobby's apologizing and shit. We get over there. I'm like, this is literally, y'all, this is 10 minutes on the water. Bobby's done pissed off a local. So we get where we're kind of going to fish and we start fishing. I said, good job, Bobby. Fucking 10 minutes here and you pissed off a local. Bobby said, you know what? I'm not used to somebody being mad at you and you think that they're talking to you nicely.
Yeah, exactly. Because where I'm
Bobby
from,
thought at first that the guy was trying to have a conversation with him about fishing.
I mean,
and it took him a minute to realize that the guy was being a little bitch.
Yeah. So what's funny is where I'm from is the land of I love autumn in Massachusetts. The foliage is so nice. You can smell it in the air. It's beautiful. Have a good morning. How are you? Hey, fuck you. That's New England.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how it is. And I'm not used to that at all. In fact, his delivery was something very conversational when I went by. He was like, it's kind of crazy that there's 3 kayakers that just cut right in front of my boat. And here we are fishing. It's just, I don't know. So my response was, I apologize for the lack of hospitality, but it is what it is.
It's not hospitality, it's respect.
That's what it was, and that's when I got pissed. I was like, "Fuck you!" I'm like, "How about you respect your fucking lines?"
But what did I tell you though? When somebody acts like that, what did I do, Bobby?
Oh, you just shut the fuck up.
I just left because nothing irritates assholes more than anything is to be ignored.
And you're not gonna and it's again if the delivery was different, I would have probably picked up on it much earlier and not said anything as well, because you're not gonna deal with somebody that's that irrational.
Well, you're excited. You just got on the water in Jordan Lake, North Carolina. You've been traveling on the road 11 and a half hours. In your first 10 minutes on the water, you encounter an asshole. Fuck that guy.
And not to mention,
fuck that guy.
Not to mention I love North Carolina.
Yeah.
I love the folk around here. It's a different breed. Because when I first came down here from New Jersey, I was used to going through the drive-thru, in and out, lickety split. You get what you need, you go.
Yep.
They hold conversations. Even when they're mad at you, it's still a little bit polite. And so you're like, what's going on? It's like you're confused. You're not sure which way to turn. Is this left or right?
It's hard to decipher.
So what I've done, because something similar has happened to me before. What I've done is, if I'm not sure if someone is disgruntled with me, I'll say, sorry, what was that? And they will repeat themselves. And as they're repeating themselves, I know that they're angry. That's when I just start. Well, I'm not even listening. I just, all right, cool. I'm not even going to engage. I'm just going to keep moving.
That's the best.
Because I'm a big believer. And one of the things I see on social media a lot is people complaining about specific types of boaters and crafts on the water.
Yep.
And my response is always, water's for everyone. Because it's public water. People, unless it's private and it's your own little spot and you actually own it, the water is for everyone. But then you have people who are just going to be rude.
Yep.
That just don't engage them. Just keep on going about your day, because the thing that's going to annoy them more, like Paul said, is if you ignore them, because then they're going to feel like, oh, this person didn't even have the respect to even listen to what I was saying.
What's your take, Ramone, on the North American lake louse? Commonly referred to as a jet skier, but it could also come in the form of a snowmobiler on a frozen lake.
Be safe. Don't run into me.
Yeah.
That's literally it.
Yeah.
That's literally it. And it's funny because the first time I fished a big, what I would consider big water, it was a lake local to us, Falls Lake. Mm-hmm. There were jet skis out. There was a speedboat out. It was like a nice warm summer day.
Oh yeah.
And my biggest concern was, do these people see me? Because I'm not trying to end up on the news.
Yeah, exactly.
As a casualty of someone who is not paying attention.
Yep.
So enjoy yourself, have fun.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go somewhere else. If you don't see me fishing here, or you just don't care that I'm fishing here, that's on them. I'm just gonna go about my day.
And
because
I love the way you said that about the water is for everyone, because it's not about like, oh, they're here, they got to do what they want. If everybody had that mentality that the water is for everyone and I'm not the only one here, life would be just so much better. You know, I'll tell you a quick story. We talk about this on the show all the time, but Berkshire Bass, they do a tournament trail in Western Massachusetts, and it's great. Spence does a great job with this trail. It's a blast. And as it would turn out, Joe from the show and Loaded Potato, one of our jig heads, were entered in this tournament. Loaded Potato had talked to Sean about going on his boat and being his co-angler. And then Joe and I were like, oh, let's fucking have some fun with this. Let's go ahead and do it. The tournament was on probably one of the most... it's in that upper category of like popular rec lakes or rec bodies of water, because it's a river. It's the Connecticut River. The Oxbow specifically. And this was Memorial Day weekend. Oh my God. Mistakes were made by everybody. It was like Joe and I were like, there were moments we were headed back down to Oxbow, and like there's like a pontoon boat and two jet skiers, and it's like they didn't know that they existed. They were all in their own little world, not paying attention to anything. And here we are doing like 60
yeah
on the river, and it's like it was a little bit hairy. I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always treat it like I treat it when I'm driving on the road.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to kill me.
Yeah.
That's the way I treat it, because I'm in a little dinghy kayak, a paddle kayak at that. So
Yeah.
I can't even move as fast as y'all two.
Yeah, it's true.
I always say, like, when someone's asked, like, hey, what's your goal out when you're going out fishing? What's your goal? What are you trying to do? I'm like, get home safe.
Not die. Yeah.
Get home safe. Number 2 is catch some fish. Because if I can do number 1, I'll be happy.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's a lot of crazies out there who aren't paying attention,
That's
who aren't
true.
doing their thing. That's why I'm always saying, use your PFD.
Yep.
If you're out on the water, I don't care if you know how to swim. I don't care if we're a collegiate athlete, went to the Olympics. If you're Michael Phelps himself, you can't swim if you're unconscious.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing. Like,
I want to catch fish before safety. That's all I'm saying.
If you can't, swim. Like, I'm not saying if like you not if you don't know how. I'm saying like, let's say you have a stroke and you fall in the water. Like, your PFD is what's going to keep you from drowning. You know what I mean? Like, it's important. It's something to think about. You have a heart attack on the water or some shit like that. Like, things happen, and
you fall out in 3 feet of water. You hit your head on a rock.
You fall out in 3 feet of water, and that water is, you might say like, oh yeah, 65 degrees is super warm. That's fine. It's cold enough where the physiology in your body is going to make your lungs go, and if your face is in that water, you're instantly drowning. That's all it takes, and it's like, you can't control that. So I don't know, it's kind of crazy. And actually, talking about PFDs, now our FTG has a little something to do with those as well.
Oh wait, should we have a live FTG intro?
Yes, we should. Not right now. Let's record it like its own segment.
Yeah,
I'll edit it in there. But yeah, I like that.
I thought
like
you were
that.
about to transition into that, but since I'm here.
Yeah, no, I like that. This would be good. I won't have to edit use the intro. I won't have to do any of that. This will be perfect. Let's see. Anything like hot topic wise that we want to go over? Like anything in the world of fishing that you guys have noticed that is worth talking about?
The youngsters on the
youngsters.
Bassmaster Elites.
Yes. Oh my God, dude.
Absolutely fucking wrecked them.
Yeah.
And Trey McKinney, 21 years old, won an Elite Series tournament. And I would say that you're going to hear a lot of talk over the next couple tournaments at least. Is this a youth movement? Is this a technology movement? Or did shit just set up right for them? I'm interested to see what the next couple tournaments do, and if the young guns on the elites continue to fish like they're fishing. That's going to be interesting. It's going to be a huge dynamic change because the majority of the elites used to hit their prime in like their 30 to 35.
Oh yeah.
And now you've got 21-year-olds. You got kids in their early 20s to mid-20s.
There was a kid that was 19.
Yeah.
He was 19 and won the Bassmaster Elite Series.
Oh yeah. So he's 19. I thought he was older.
Yeah,
19. He
19
can't
years
buy
old.
alcohol yet.
It was one of our past guests had pointed out. She's like, "Oh, did you hear about this?" And I'm like, in a lot of ways, I like to try to zoom out. What do they say? A 10,000 foot view like that. You have a lot more fishing organized sports at the high school and collegiate level, and I feel like you're getting better or more experienced anglers younger now.
Yeah.
So I think this is just a trend we're just gonna see.
Yeah, and that was one thing I was gonna say is and I am a very, very passive follower of the pro bass fishing scene.
Yep. Like I respect it. I'm not really there to digest the content.
But what I have noticed is the increased visibility of youth organized tournament fishing.
Yep.
And I always like to go back to baseball with this because I grew up playing baseball.
Yep.
And you knew.
Have you seen my baseball?
Yeah, exactly. You knew when someone was trying to make it very early on by how involved they were in the off season, in different organizations, travel ball, all that stuff. You knew right away, oh, this person is really trying to go for it. They want it.
Yep.
They want a future in this. And I've seen that with bass fishing as well.
Yeah.
They have way more opportunities to tournament fish outside of the weekend tournaments. It's organized. It's team based.
Oh yeah.
It's more reps basically that they're getting.
It's competition reps.
Exactly. It's not like just going out to your farm pond, which nothing wrong with the farm pond. I love farm ponds, but it's a different style of fishing where each cast matters way more than you hanging out on the weekend.
One of the biggest catalysts for these young
crushing beers
for these young anglers being more competitive early is all these guys started fishing at a young age, and they were probably all fishing local tournaments at a young age. Those are your local bodies of water. You're probably going 2 to 3 hours at the most for these tournaments. But then when you get these high school tournaments, you get these college tournaments. Now these kids are traveling like a touring professional. They're having to go to lakes in different states. They're having to travel a day, 8 hours. The travel that they're doing now is preparing them to go fish the opens and the elites. It's not the fishing as much. It's you're on the road, you understand sleep,
all of that.
You understand doing all that stuff. Whereas before, you didn't have that. 20 years ago, you really didn't have that. With the high school clubs and the college clubs was still new. Around here, the only bass fishing club or the only college club here was NC State.
Yeah.
But now these kids are in high school and college being able to not only fish many different bodies of water that aren't their home lakes, they're also getting to understand how to travel and fish.
And that's a big one. That's a big one that people don't realize. When my first tournament for baseball that I traveled for was a shock because
believe it.
You have to learn to travel, and that's one thing that's not talked about in anything that you're doing professional. Heck, even for work, you have to learn how to travel for work because you don't know how you're going to feel when you land. You don't know how you're going to feel when you get there, whether you're flying or driving. You don't know how you're going to feel the next day after a travel day. And you learn. And that's one of the things that they're getting early on is like they're first off, not even just the fact that they're starting younger. The benefit of starting younger is they're not dealing with the responsibilities of being an adult.
Yeah.
Of having to work full time. They're going to school full time. Yeah. But they have set time to practice. They don't have the responsibilities of a family, of a job, and then they have to try and fit fishing, if they want to be tournament anglers, fishing into it. Instead, they can put a ton of focus into it.
That, you make a good point, like learning how to travel, because I also think that, and this cuts into like professional bass, the conversation that's happening in professional bass fishing as well, is the budget of traveling. It's one thing to think that like, oh yeah, we're going to go and do this tournament here, and you think you're on vacation, so you're like, yeah, we're going to live it up, we're going to get steaks, we're going to do this. Even if you're traveling for business, you're like, yeah, sure, the company is giving me X amount, and odds are that's not going to cover everything. But, we're good worker bees and, don't complain. That's what they want us to do. So we, like you have to play it to your favor, to your advantages, so that when you are, let's say you're 10 years into professional bass fishing or something like that, you're not taking the money that it takes to step up and play that game. You're not taking it and squandering it in places that you don't necessarily need to. I don't know. It's crazy. It's funny because recently there were 2 instances where I've had conversations with folks that are involved with high school, angling, bass fishing tournaments. One of them was actually from 603 Bass. It was that same trail. Sean does he's a coach. There was another guy, I forget his name, I apologize. I think it was at the Sportsman Show, or maybe it actually might have been the New England Fishing Expo. I had spoken to a guy there who was telling me about it. He's like, you should see some of these kids. They're learning crazy stuff. And like the way they do it, it seems, at least in that network, is the school organizes some element of it, but they bring in other anglers for the boats, and they bring so that the kids are out on the water learning, but they're in charge. They're like, hey, we're gonna go fish this riprap over here. There's this laydown that I marked, or a rock pile that I gotta go and hit. We're gonna go and do that.
Well, you have the captain, or I can't remember, whatever that you have to have in the high school. You have to have
like an official
dad.
Yep,
it's usually a dad,
and it's usually for liability.
Well, they drive the boat.
Yeah, it's their,
exactly.
Most of the time, it's their boat.
Yeah. They drive the boat. That's it. They can't assist with techniques or any fishing or anything. They just get the anglers from point A to point B.
But this conversation that I was having with this guy was like, you'd be amazing. Like you said, you can't assist. He's like, I don't have to. These kids are doing great. Like, they're just putting the time in. Like, it's just like they treat fishing like the way you would treat, like, hey, after dinner, I'm going to go out and shoot some hoops in the driveway, so I can work on this specific play or whatever, And then the other one was in Columbus. I was talking with, and actually the interview was last week, and I forget this guy's name, but he was with an organization that's based in Ohio that does the same thing. And it wasn't with the school system. It was like remedial. It was like something additional that you could just sign up with, and I think it was like almost like a sister trail to an existing tournament trail. It was pretty cool. I was like, and they're like, the whole purpose is to just get young kids, and I think you are seeing a lot more of these. And when I had this conversation, it was Janelle Orsino that I had the conversation with, and she was like, did you hear about this 19-year-old kid? I think there's a tide shifting. And I'm like, I took a step back. I was like, I don't know if it's that there's a tide shifting so much, or that this is what you're going to be seeing because of some of the stuff. What I was saying earlier about wanting to see over the next 2 or 3 tournaments, I also want to see how the season goes, because they, all the tournaments that they're fishing, there's a longevity aspect of it too. Later in the year, the last third of the tournament season, you're tired, you're wore out, you're beat up, you've been on the road for 8 months, 9 months. How are they going to be able to handle that over a whole season? That's a different level of experience.
Yeah, it is a different level of experience. Just taking care of yourself. Are these guys dialed in and not partying and having a good time 3 or 4 days out of the week during practice, and then tournament starts and they get ready to roll.
And they're hungover.
My thing with the youth movement is I want to see how a whole season goes, and if they can continue to fish like they fished, here recently at the end of a tournament, or do you have some of the old school guys that are mentally and physically prepared to fish a whole season? Is going to be another big part of it too.
Yeah, that's pretty freaking interesting, man. I love it. This is really good, guys. This is a great episode.
We are on site in North Carolina with Ramone Outdoors. How could this not? Who would have ever thought this was going to happen 6 months, a year ago?
I mean, I am crushing Modelo Micheladas here, and I got a nice little. Although this actually gave me quite the head start. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Ain't alcohol, but
I'm like,
black
I can't.
platinum
I
seltzer.
can't. Oh, it does. It says on the bottom that it contains alcohol, and even though right up above it says 8% alcohol by volume.
And that's only a 12-ouncer.
Oof.
That's Jesus. It is gluten free though.
It is. Low sugar content. What's calories in that one? 120?
170.
Oh, my God. That's
170.
terrible. A
That's
16-ounce of White Claw Surge only has 160. Maybe 220. I can't remember. But that's a lot of calories.
What is the calorie content on one
That
of these?
bitch is like 400 because I'm sure there's like 30 grams of sugar in it.
175. No, there's
no sugar in a Michelada.
Yeah, not in a Michelada.
They no sugar.
You know what there is in there though? A shitload of salt. There's a shitload of salt. So I'm going to be pounding bottles of water later tonight. Otherwise, I'm going to be fucking irritated tomorrow.
If your ass cramps up in your kayak tomorrow morning and I have to come save you, I'm going to videotape it first, just FYI.
Oh yeah, no, fair. If that shit happens, I deserve it. I fucking deserve it. No, I think I'll be fine tomorrow. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I'm just hoping to get on some fish. I mean, I like the fact that I've kind of got no pressure now that I've got like a trophy crappie out of this little pond over here.
That pond supposedly by somebody who works here doesn't have fish in it. You caught one.
I defied all odds,
dude, and that's what I love. Like we've been sitting here and I'm seeing like little fish come up and pop.
Oh yeah,
and I wish I brought my ultralight rod just so I can see what else is in there.
What lure would you throw in that if you had your ultralight rod?
Nightcrawler.
What?
Oh,
I'm throwing a nightcrawler.
I thought you'd throw like a mule, like workhouse jig.
Listen, I love that.
I set him up for the mule jig
because I have some in that bag. If you would like,
listen. I love the mule jig, Ethan. You know this.
Yeah.
But when it's a new body of water, I throw a nightcrawler first.
Oh yeah.
And then once I know, okay, there's a fish in here.
Yeah.
That's when I start throwing in plastics.
I'm fucking disappointed.
Why is that?
I set you up. Regardless of how you fish and what you do in real life, I set you
thrown
up.
BFS yet?
I set you up to throw a mule jig.
We can talk about that.
You want to try it?
Here's the deal. Not yet. Here's the deal.
Don't you point at me.
I'm pointing right at you, Paul.
He told Bobby to hold the fuck up. He turned on his seat to point at me.
Directly at you. The one thing that I will not do is give a fabricated.
It wasn't fabricated.
Listen, I'm telling you how I would approach this water.
When you go to leave today, I'm gonna call Miss Carla, and she's gonna lock the gate. You can't leave, and you're gonna have to camp somewhere tonight.
That's okay.
You're not going home. Miss Carla's gonna hold you hostage.
All right, that's fine. But I'm just telling you how I would approach this.
Miss Carla's badass, by the way. Go ahead.
Anyways, BFS, I have gear. I have to set it up.
Oh,
I have gear. I got it all. I bought 2 reels.
What are you rocking with?
Oh shoot, what is it? I can't even remember. One of them is the Zephyr.
Okay, the Zephyr. That's super popular.
The other one is the.
Is it a Dark Wolf?
No, it's not that expensive.
No, the Dark Wolf's cheap, dude.
Oh, what is it called? I can't remember, but a buddy of mine, Aaron, recommended it. I think it was like. I got it on AliExpress. It's like it's like really cheap, dual spool. It's not cheap, but it's like one of those budget friendly ones, dual spool. And I have a rod. I have one rod. Yes, I know. I should get a second one, but I'm only testing the waters here.
Yeah, that's how you got to do it
because I'm not that great with a regular bait caster.
So, and I'll tell you what, I'll be honest with you. There is more of a learning curve with BFS because that really light spool is a game changer. But like I backlash all the time until like I dial in that reel to that specific bait. Like if I change from like a small like micro jerk bait to like a small like like a mule jig or something or a Bronco blade or something, the weight difference there, it comes into play huge. I took some advice from Paul and Jeff at Aggressively Average Anglers in putting together my combo, and I love it. It fits that like niche. It because I try to put my rods together like a spectrum.
Yeah.
So I go like, super, super heavy to super finesse. But in between, there was something that was missing. And it was just strictly like, if there's a reason why I got into BFS, it's strictly for comfort, because it's easier for me to have a bait caster in my hand all day than to hold a spinning rod and try and impart any action. Like I get some carpal tunnel in my wrist and stuff.
Yeah.
So switching up from between the two is ideal. And that's what I've been doing. Like most of any of the finesse stuff that I've thrown today, like when I was getting bit on Friday when we went out, it was the same thing. It was just different finesse, presentations. If you want to give it a shot, man, I got to tie a new leader on, but I'll tie one on for you. You can take a few casts.
There's a lot more trees around here than I would be comfortable casting around something new.
Pitching is definitely a good skill to have with a lot of BFS.
But yeah, the last year my main focus was more on traditional bass fishing.
Oh yeah.
So I did a lot of that. Put away the ultralight rod a lot more than I would have. This year is trying out BFS. See if I like it, see if I hate it, see what it's like, and that way I can give like a proper opinion of someone who hasn't spent their whole life fishing. I mean, I've only been fishing now, for 3 years, 4 years now? I think for three or 4 years, so it hasn't been long, and it's one of those things where it's like, well, I want to try something new.
I caught an absolute tank of a brown trout on my BFS last week. I think it was actually like last Friday, and that rod loaded up, and I was like, it was as exhilarating as when I caught my PB largemouth.
Yeah, and that's what people don't get.
Bullshit.
Yeah, that's what people don't get.
Seriously.
You're catching.
Fuck them brown trout.
They're delicious.
So are bass.
They are. Yes,
they are. So that's been
especially the 7-pounders.
The funniest thing that I've been doing lately is going around on people's posts on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
And I think I just recently did this to Love the Cast. And he was telling a story on how he was telling somebody that he fishes, and the person was like, oh, what do you fish for? He said smallmouth, and he's like, oh, they taste good. And he talked about how he, that hurt him. And I'm like, them 4-pounders are the best. It's one of those things where it's like, I just like to poke a little fun.
Oh yeah,
have a little fun.
You need to get people riled up once in a while to make them know that they're alive. I think if anything, we're doing favors.
It is a scientific fact. The biologists have said that the amount of people not keeping bass out of our public waters has been detrimental to the not the population, but has been detrimental to having larger bass.
Yep, 100%.
Is the problem.
Yeah.
Those 10 to 14 inchers are okay to keep because you couldn't go drain there are so many out there. 10 to 14 inchers are perfect to keep. They're great to fillet. They're great to cook whole. But we know that anglers not keeping enough bass has been detrimental to growing larger bass.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And there are people, like I meet people often that one group specifically, I met them at trivia and we were talking about fishing, and they're like, oh yeah, they're like, they asked, what do you fish for? I was like, the multi-species scavenger hunt stuff. I fish for everything. I like it all. I've got a carp set up. I want to dive into that. I want to get like a legit big catfish set up because I've got visions this summer of catching my first blue. Again, that's a point I've never been able to get on the scavenger hunt.
You're my boy, Blue.
That's what I'm saying. Yes. See, you get it. I tremendously want to get into this, but these guys are talking about, they're like, we kind of catch everything. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, what's your PB this? What's your PB that? And they eat everything they catch. And it shows in their trivia scores because their brains are probably rotting out from lead poisoning. Those larger fish have more mercury. There's no argument there. They're big predators. And that's why those 10 to 14s are also better nutritionally because there's less potential contamination that's in there. Like the snakehead that are fucking delicious. The giants. How do they not taste like a piece of metal? How do they it's like steel.
So it tastes like you're eating the Terminator.
It sounds like you're eating the Terminator's ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
You're getting.
Yeah, you added the ass part, and that made that analogy much better.
It did a little T2 wussy. Oh my God.
So is it the original Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator's ass you're eating, or is it the
liquid guy?
The
Mercury guy. Yeah, definitely. I forget what the hell his model number was.
Yeah, I forgot his model number too, but he was probably growing up when I saw that movie. It's not even a horror movie. I was scared to death of Jason, Friday the 13th.
Yep.
And I was scared to death of the second Terminator, the Mercury guy.
Oh, yeah.
Was like a nightmare for me as a child.
I can remember.
I wasn't even that young.
I mean, I don't even remember how old I was when that movie came out, but I wasn't very old at all. I was in high school, I think. Yeah, I was in high school. I was probably like my freshman. And that movie came out, and I was like, this is the greatest film I've ever seen in my life. And I thought it was so high tech.
And then Super Troopers came out, and then Out Cold came out. But
and then
I can't believe you put that ahead. Yes, I can't believe you put that ahead of the Three Amigos.
Well, when I was 14, I was basing it just on like the visual effects because of that. What was it, the T-1000? I think it was the T-1000.
I don't remember.
We're going to call them the T-1000, guys. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. Go ahead and get in my DMs and tell me how big of a moron I am.
This would be much funnier if we were on video.
It would 100%. It would be. I have a good feeling that if I were to go watch that now, the visual effects would be laughable.
No, man, they don't hold up. There are some things like I'll give you a good example. My kids, who are very young still, they're both below 10. We just introduced them to the new, to the old original Star Wars, the original trilogy.
Yeah,
they loved it.
That's
the graphics didn't impact them at all, and they've watched like a lot of newer movies too. As I'm sitting there watching it, I'm like, this isn't half bad.
Mm-hmm.
This is not half bad. And it was not the original version. It's the third version where they went back, because you know how they redid it with all new graphics and people hated it, and then they went back and remastered it again with some of the updated graphics.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't like you could notice it. But it wasn't like, oh, this is ruining everything.
It wasn't Jaws 3 graphics.
Exactly.
That was
exactly
terrible.
Which they saw terrible. Jaws as well, and then we went to the beach and they were terrified to get into the water, but we told them it's fine. Yeah, you're good.
Jaws only eats people in the Northeast.
Exactly.
Cape Cod, baby.
Well,
fuck it. Oh. This is great, guys. Let's go ahead. We'll wrap this segment up. Don't go too far, guys. We got more Jigs and Bigs coming up for you guys in our next segment. Who knows? We might have a Just the Tip, but we definitely have an FTG for you that you don't want to miss out on.
We do have Just the Tip.
We do.
And it is a rainy day camping tip to get your shit dry so you can go back out fishing later that afternoon.
That's a great tip. That's a great tip. I'm glad you mentioned that. Don't go too far, guys. We'll be right back with more Jigs and Bigs. Jigs and Bigs wants to take a moment to say thank you to our partners for helping us continue to push the limits of our fishing adventures and bring you amazing long-form podcast content. We need to thank Dark Horse Tackle, Omnia Fishing, A-Bay Lure, The Bay House, and The Ship Motel. We can't forget about Three Bells Outfitters, Torres Sunglasses, and of course, Reaction Tackle. Be sure to check the description of this podcast for any associated affiliate links or promo codes they've generously provided our listening audience. Again, we cannot thank our partners enough for their support. Please consider supporting them and supporting the show in the same process. Thanks. Hey, you. Yeah, you. the one with the impeccable taste in fishing podcasts. Bobby Roast Beef here with a little call to action for all Jigs and Bigs listeners. We're opening up our hotline to you. Now you can call us to sound off about almost anything at 413-324-8519. Want to submit someone for our FTG segment? Call us at 413-324-8519. Care to maybe suggest a topic for Just the Tip or Bait of the Week? Call us at 413-324-8519. Maybe you just want to give us or anyone else a little shout out on the show, or you want to suggest a guest for the beef seat. You guessed it. Call us at 413-324-8519. The Jigs and Bigs hotline is there for you to leave a message with us 24/7. Just call 413-324-8519. Also, you can check that number in the notes of this podcast.
Bobby, Sean, and Who the Fuck is Joe Brown now have a special presentation for us all. It's time for Just the Tip.
Alrighty, guys. Bobby Roast Beef back here for our Just the Tip segment. And this week, this tip actually, it came directly from Paul at this camp out that we've been doing here. We went out Saturday morning. We had some rain dumping on us. We were soaked like river rats. If I'm being
swamp rats,
honest. Swamp rats, you might say. Holy shit balls! That's even better.
I'm joking. I need the Hamlet. Shit. Okay, I think it cleared.
I think you're good. No, this tip was really, really good. Like, we were drenched. And you had mentioned earlier, you're like, oh, yeah, if you hear my truck run, it's because I'm drying off my clothes.
Yeah, I was wetter than the night of my honeymoon.
Yeah, hey. I had, and I had like these AFCO hoodies. They dry quick. They really do. But you gotta take them out of the rain, is what you basically need to do.
Usually it helps to dry shit off by taking it out of the water source.
He made the suggestion that I take these layers, right? And I swapped out for another hoodie, that I take these layers and I hang them on my seats in the front seat of my truck, and I just put the heat on full blast. And holy shit, it worked great. I think it was like 45 minutes and they were done.
Yeah, probably done a little bit before that.
Probably,
for instance,
yeah. I just let it run until it shut off.
You had a thick hoodie.
Yeah.
My rain jacket and my sun hoodie that I had, thinner material.
Yep.
Mine was done in like 10 minutes. It was completely dry.
Oh yeah.
So, but what's still dry now, which took a little bit longer, was my life jacket. Took a little bit longer.
Oh yeah, that takes a little bit.
You can if you know it's going to rain, bring some hangers. You can hang the hangers in there.
That's
you can lay them on your seats.
Yep.
But it really expedites it. Turn that heat on full blast.
Yeah.
And
it's nice dry air.
Yeah. And the air doesn't have to be blowing directly on the stuff. You just let it run.
Yeah.
15-20 minutes is typically what my stuff takes to dry. And it's bone dry and it's good, and boom, there you go.
Yeah, that was a good move. So yeah, hey, just the tip. Like if you're out, you're camping, you're just fishing, and you gotta dry your stuff off in between. There's nothing worse than being soaking wet and cold. You add a little wind in there, and it can turn your day. It can actually be dangerous depending on on that situation. But at the very minimal, it's going to be uncomfortable. So definitely, that is a great tip. Now we got a little FTG, and since I have you here, Paul, I'm going to have you do the live FTG open. So you go ahead and intro the FTG.
Count me down.
All right, do it in 3, 2.
Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy.
Do you guys hear it now? Do you hear it? I've told people so many times. I'm like, yeah, on that fuck that guy intro, that's Paul from Bass and Brews, and people are just like, really? I never realized that. Do you hear it now? I think you guys hear it now. No, this week's FTG actually came in via an Instagram DM from John Carter. You guys can follow John. He's at Bassman_Carter78, and he was out in the Boston area, and he goes, my guy for the FTG nomination this week. He goes, "Yep, it's a classic springtime sort of calling card. This is how you know we're getting into the open water season here in the Northeast where we're located." Yeah, this guy here is shown in Boston, and he was just trolling around. John witnesses firsthand, no PFD, and he sent me an image, and I'm gonna actually post this so you guys can see it. But this dude, I think, is this a wreck kayak? It looks like it's a wreck kayak, and no PFD at all. Nope, that's a sit on top. No PFD whatsoever. What a moron! What a dipshit! Like, I don't know. We mentioned it in the first segment of the show when we had Ramone here too. The idea of wearing a PFD is just in your best interest to give you the best likelihood of being able to go fish again. So why not do it? It's just one of those things. Like, I think you're going to hear this probably every March or April. Probably every March. You're going to end up hearing this on this show. Some idiot out there. And I love having a picture. So we're going to go ahead and post that for you guys. But that is our FTG this week on Jigs and Bigs. Do we have any gear specifically we want to talk about for gear of the week? I could ramble about some stuff that I have been using. Specifically, I could talk about... I could talk about the new jerkbait rod. I could talk about some BFS baits. Some stuff that's really worked for me lately. Ooh. Yeah.
Have you talked about the beds in the back of your Yoda?
I've talked about them, but I don't think I've gone into detail with them. Yeah.
I will say this. If you're going to talk about them, I will say this. I've Bobby and I have had conversations, and I've heard him talk about stuff fleetingly. To see it in person was a different experience. It's just one of those things. Seeing it in person was a different experience. I was very intrigued by that. I mean, it looks comfy as hell. It
really is. So I use the mattresses that I use when I sleep in my 4Runner. They're from a company called Deep Sleep Overland, and Deep Sleep actually they started out making mattresses that could be used in the back of Jeeps, and they were molded to shape the footprint in the rear when you put your seats down. And they've since expanded quite a bit. They've included a variety of truck bed designs. They've included Toyota 4Runners. They've included even Subarus. They've got a handful of different models, and they're super comfortable. They're large. Like, you need to be able to store them, so in a vehicle obviously makes sense. They're inflatable, but they're like a hybrid mattress where there's some foam inside the mattress, but there's also a valve. They're auto-inflating, so it does increase in size. You pop that valve and allow it to fill up, and I'll bet you it's about 3.5 to 4 inches thick. It's a good size mattress. Now, what I've recently just done is I've added a wool blanket. Nothing super crazy, but like an army style wool blanket. And I've just put that over on top of the mattresses just to kind of add an extra layer of insulation between the bottom. And these insulate great as it is. The big reason why I want to put them together, I sleep diagonal in here because I'm just a little bit too tall to sleep with straight up and down in line with the mattress. So that's why I have the two of them. I have a little bit more room to move around. This blanket covers up the gap in between the two, so you don't ever kind of get cozy in between that, and get between the mattresses at all. It's really, really kind of nice. So I love them. I think that if you've got a vehicle and you're interested in doing some truck camping, I would highly recommend going and looking at these. I've had them now. This is my 3rd year with them, and they're absolutely fantastic. I think they're just great. So yeah, Deep Sleep Overland. I'm going to go ahead and put a link in the description of this podcast. You guys can go check them out if you'd like, and they're just absolutely badass, man. There's nothing I can really say about that.
Yeah, they're awesome. Yeah, they're awesome. They're really cool.
It's pretty slick, and I'm actually looking forward to, after the amount of tasty beverages I've been putting down over here. I think this is going to be another night where I'll have a nice full belly, and I'm going to sleep like a champ, and hopefully we get on some fish tomorrow.
I hope so too. We need not only redemption for today, We need the fish gods.
We do.
To bless us a little bit.
Just give us a little bit.
Look, I caught my fish today.
Yeah.
Give Bobby roast beef, a Jordan Lake bass.
Yeah.
And let's aim for the stars and let's ask for a double digit. But at minimum, give us a 3-pounder because Jordan Lake 3-pounders are some fighting ass fish.
That's what I'm saying.
Give us a decent fish, and fish gods, if you're listening, and you want to repay us for the bullshit you put us through today,
that'd be a good way to
give
start.
us a double digit.
Yeah, that really would be. But fantastic, guys. We're gonna take a short break. We'll get back. We'll see you guys at the back end of this podcast. Trust me, you don't want to miss out. And we will see you. And I'm gonna answer these text messages. Jigs and Bigs is your favorite fishing podcast, right? Why not show the world how much you love the show while directly supporting us? We have men's and ladies' shirts, hoodies, and a variety of hats. We even have a waterproof outdoor Bluetooth speaker so you can listen to your favorite podcast while out on the water if you like. Check out jigsandbigs.com/shop to visit the store and gear yourself up. If you really can't get enough of this show, consider becoming a jig head and joining our Patreon. It's a subscription that gives you exclusive access to recording sessions that allow you to engage with us as we record the show. We also have some exclusive content there just for our jig heads and even have some special promo codes. Space is limited, so join now at jigsandbigs.com. Finally, if you're local to our area in Western Massachusetts, consider checking out the Western Mass Fishing Report, posted weekly at northeastwildwoman.com. We have amazing contributors providing great content and info for local conditions and what's been going on and working recently. Jigs and Bigs, so much more than just two lightly roasted hippies trapped in the 90s arguing on the internet about fishing. Well, guys, that's going to do it for myself and the Jabberhammer. We are we're wrapping this sucker up, man. It's been a great show, entirely recorded on location here in beautiful. This is Apex, North Carolina, where we're located, right?
Yeah, we'll call it Apex.
Yeah.
Jordan Lake State Park
Covers that.
encompasses Apex. Part of it's in Chatham.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird little triangular area. But we'll just call it Jordan Lake State Park.
Yeah, we're Jordan Lake State Park on location. This is how we do. You guys are hearing the nature. When it rains, you're hearing some of that. We're just trying to bring you out into the elements. That's really all we want. We're trying to improve your life is kind of what it's all about. I am looking forward to tomorrow in a huge way. I think that this trip has kicked off the kayak fishing season for Bobby Roast Beef, because when I get back, like I said, today I looked at the weather back home and it's 47 degrees to the 61 we had down here. But I don't care, and I'm sending it. Like, as often as possible, I'm going to be sending it. In this little green boat. I'm very excited about it. So we're gonna have ourselves some fun. Paul, what's your hot take on this this little journey that we've had together?
Hot take on this journey we had together. That's a good question, and you see how I repeated the question?
I do.
As I think about the answer that I'm going to answer with.
That's how I know you're a professional podcaster?
I would tell you that I'm more of a high-functioning moron, and I don't want to sound too bad about this. Hot take. It's tough, man. I don't know. I look at hot takes as something that wants to drive a little bit of argument. And there's another word that I'm thinking of that I can't think about it. Hot take. I will say this. Don't bring too much shit camping.
Yeah. Lighten your loads.
Yep.
Lighten your loads, folks.
Oh, speaking of lighten loads, you were asking me about the facilities, and I could tell you were really upset about the facilities. And yesterday we were asking me about the facilities, and you still brought your porta potty, even though I said we had good facilities. And last night you went up to go wash your face off and make sure that there weren't no spiders in their toilet seats.
Yep.
Jordan Lake State Park got some nice facilities, don't they?
They got some great facilities up there. And actually, when I was loading up my camping gear, it really wasn't a question of like how are the facilities, because that's the thing about Bobby Roast Beef. He's not as picky as some people about facilities.
You shit in a bucket anywhere.
I mean, some of the places where I have shit is questionable. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's questionable, but the facilities are great. On the map, I wasn't sure what the location was, the distance, and my thought was, if I have to pinch a loaf in the middle of the night, or like really early in the morning, and I don't want to walk all the way out wherever it is, maybe it would just be more convenient to just drop a deuce in my little, privacy tent, my water closet on the go, if you will, my water-free water closet. And it turns out like, I definitely didn't need to take that at all. But I'll tell you what, it is a good thing that I did bring it, because I had the dude wipes at the ready, and they come in handy. They come in handy. Save a birch tree. Get into Dude Wipes.
Yep.
Dude Wipes, call me. Let's start a sponsorship deal. I am the guy who can sell your product to everybody. And if I'm living proof that you need this product. So
we need to
call me.
Maybe they would sponsor you if you started doing some live wipings.
Live wipes? Like I just go on live on Instagram and I'm like, all right, guys, here we go.
Yep.
Huh.
And show how many dude wipes it takes to get you clean.
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe I could put a panel together and go like, so what do you think, guys? One more? And they'll be like, no, you're good.
Be wonderful.
I think it'd be great.
Yeah.
I'd be canceled immediately, but I think it'd be all right. I want
just
to
put a blur box on anything that can't be seen.
I just want to throw this out there that if there's one hot take that I have from this weekend, it's that Bass and Brews truly needs to establish a sponsorship deal with Astroglide. 100%. It needs to happen. Astroglide, have your people call Alex and make that happen for Bass and Brews. Let's make it
I love that. And I'll add on to this that if the Jigs and Bigs jig heads can go message and tag Astroglide on their socials for Bass and Brews, that would be wonderful. That would be great.
Yeah.
And I'll leave my last little statement here is one, I am Paul from Bass and Brews. If y'all don't know who we are, go listen to our podcast.
Yeah.
It is we're the 15-year-olds of Jigs and Bigs.
You know what it is?
We don't have really much fishing content. We do have really good anglers on, but we talk about other stuff. And the other thing is, Alex, go fuck yourself.
Have a good night, folks. We'll see you with more Jigs and Bigs next week. Do me a favor, guys. If you're out there catching them, and this is the time of year that you guys are going to be out there catching them, please make sure to tag us in all your pictures. We'd love to go ahead and like and comment and share all of your stuff so that we can just kind of grow this amazing fishing family as much as humanly possible. We'll see you in 7 days with more Jigs and Bigs goodness. Don't go too far, and like we always say...
Hello.
Tits and ass, smoke some grass.